everybody, and welcome back to D-Ray's shop. Today I'm working on an Arctic Cat 400 automatic, 2006 model. Machine had been setting up for almost a year, and the customer brought it over, and so I thought, well, this is just going to be a routine carburetor cleaning job, no sweat, and I'd have this old boy ready for deer season. Well, got everything back together and started the machine up. It fired right up, ran for about a minute, and it just shut off just like you'd turn the key off on it. And I thought, well, that's really strange. So I thought, well, maybe it's fouled plug or something, you know. So I took the spark plug out of it and checked it, and sure enough, it was fouled. But I did notice while I had the plug out and had it grounded to the cylinder head, while I was spinning the motor over, it was sparking, but it would spark for a few times and then it would quit. And you just keep spinning the engine over, and it just spin and spin and spin, no spark, and then all of a sudden it just starts sparking again. It would just spark for about 4 or 5 seconds, then quit for 4 or 5 seconds. Spark for 4 or 5 seconds and then quit. It would just do that at random. Absolutely no pattern at all. So I thought, well, that must have a bad connection somewhere. So I checked all the wiring harness connections at the stator, the pulsar plug, checked the coil connections, the CDI box, just pretty much just checked all the normal things and couldn't really find anything out of the ordinary. So I got my voltmeter out and did some continuity testing on the stator, the pulsar, and the coil. Couldn't find anything wrong there, and there's really no way to really test the CDI box. That was about the only thing I couldn't rule out. So I got online and looked at a few forums, and I kept running across references to flywheel issues with these 400s. So I thought, well, yeah, that's really kind of strange, but the side cover on these is pretty easy to take off. So I yanked the side cover off of it. Let me show you what I found. Now this is a view of the left side of the engine. I've already got the side cover off, and it was actually pretty easy to take off. Just simply had to remove the floorboard and just remove the recoil starter, the shifting linkage, and just a series of bolts around the perimeter of the case and one in the middle, and the cover came right off. Now this is the point of interest here that I'm focused on, is the flywheel. Now this flywheel has permanent magnets in it, and I'm going to take you over here and show you the side cover. In the side cover you got what's called the stator. That's this set of windings right here. The flywheel goes over that, and as it spins, it creates current. It's what runs the ignition system, and it also is what charges your battery, runs your lights, and things like that. Now over here, this is called a pulsar coil. There's a little bump on the outside of the flywheel, and as that passes by that, it causes that to create a small charge of current. This tells the ignition system when to fire the spark plug. All right. Now, back to this flywheel again. In the forums, they talked about the magnets coming loose in them. And of course, when I looked at this one at first, everything seemed to be okay. I didn't see nothing really out of the ordinary. Then I got to looking a little closer, and I noticed there was a gap in the magnets right here. And all the other ones was right up against one another. And I thought, well, you know, that's not really, doesn't really look right. And sure enough, reach in here, watch this. Those magnets are loose. In fact, there's one of them right there. Those magnets were simply bonded into the flywheel, and I don't know if the oil gets to the adhesive or it just from time or heat or a combination of those factors. But yeah, these magnets are all loose in the flywheel. They're just kind of floating around. So that's what's causing our ignition system to not work properly. Now fortunately for this old boy here, he was real lucky, because from some of the stories I've read, these magnets will come loose while you're driving it. And if so, they can get wadded up in the stator over here and just destroy this stator. Just absolutely just eat it all up. So unfortunately, the flywheel for these things are not real inexpensive, but for this gentleman's case, he's going to luck out and just have to buy just the flywheel. He's not going to have to buy the stator and everything else. So if you ever run into an odd ignition problem with an Arctic Cat 400, take you a few minutes and get down and inspect that flywheel. You may find you some loose magnets. Wow, unbelievable. You know, guys, after being in the motorcycle industry for over 27 years, you know, you'd think after a while you'd pretty much seen about everything. But this here just goes to show that, man, things is always coming up with new ways to break. All right. One other little piece of information I'll pass along to you. On that flywheel, you have to have a special tool to pull that flywheel off. The crankshaft on those is tapered, and it's got a keyway on it. And there is a special tool that you thread on the end of that flywheel. And you might be tempted to use a 3-way puller, because there are some bolts in the backside of that flywheel that holds the starter one-way clutch in there. But if you do try this, you want to avoid pressing on the end of that crankshaft, because the way that crankshaft tapers down, it just gets down to where it's like a 10 millimeter nut, and it holds the recoil starter hub in place. And if you put a puller on that and press directly on the end of that crankshaft, you will damage that crankshaft, you will ruin it. The special puller that comes with that machine, it has a little sleeve that goes over the end of that crankshaft, so it's pushing on a bigger part of the crank and not on that little 10 millimeter bolt that's sticking out of the end of it. Now, if you have an Arctic Cat dealer locally, you can take it to them. Also, if you don't have an Arctic Cat dealer close by, but you have a Suzuki dealer, the engine that's in these 400s is the same engine that Suzuki used in the Eiger ATV series and also the later model 400 quad runners. And a lot of times, if you have your side cover already pulled off and the flywheel is ready to pull, a lot of times you can just take it directly over to your dealer, and a lot of times they don't have a problem with just stepping out there with the tool right quick, threading it on and knocking that flywheel off for you. All right. Well, I hope this helps you out if you ever experience any odd ignition problems with your Arctic Cat 400. And as always, appreciate y'all watching. Y'all have a good one. We'll catch y'all next time around. Oh, and be sure to leave me a couple of comments in the comment section below. All right? See y'all.